Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is July 4th week. It is the week of Independence Day, if you can believe that. So we are all festive today. Doesn't it look good? Looks nice, right? The hat, special shout out to Quick Customization Emporium in Kansas City, Kansas, who they are the ones that do the Back of the Pack podcast hats. I love this one. He's like, I did this because it looks like a bomb pop. You know what? It does, and I think it's great. So if you're watching the video, that's a cool hat. Make sure you go check them out for any of your customization needs. This was a weird weekend because it was a non-race weekend. No races this past weekend. That would be the last weekend in June. I know that there was a few around town, nothing I was signed up for, so nothing I went out to. So that was odd. And now as I sit here, like I'm sitting here thinking, boy, I probably should have because I can't run today. It is raining and cloudy and unseasonably cool, at least for this part of the country. So I will not be running today, which I guess is good because I'm recording. So we're gonna go with that. As I just am watching it flooding outside. Good grief. Torrential downpour much? Anyway. So yeah, this week coming up on Thursday. Thursday is the 4th of July. We will be at the Stars and Stripes 5K. That is in Overland Park, Kansas. Nice little Independence Day themed 5K. No big deal. Easy race. Just a little something to do. What that is going to do is kind of shake out the legs and get us loosened up because on Saturday, July 6th, that is where we will be in El Dorado, Kansas for the Hell on Gravel Half Marathon. This race is an ultra and it is a full marathon and it is a half marathon. I am doing the half marathon because I'm not fully crazy right now and I am not ultra crazy. I don't think I will ever be ultra crazy. But to those folks, the ultra athletes who will be starting their race at 5:30 in the morning on Saturday, good luck to all of you. Maybe I will see you somewhere out on the course. This is definitely a different experience for me because this is technically an ultra, even though I'm doing half marathon distance. So no aid stations. They will have some water set up out there, but you have to have a hydration belt or pack. You have to have something with you so that you can drink the water. There will not be volunteers that are handing you cups of water. There won't even be cups of water available on the table. This is kind of a whole self-service thing, which I guess is normal for you ultra runners and the people in the ultra world. Again, excuse me, not my jam, not something I've really done before or have a lot of experience with. So this is going to be a new one for me. And we're just going to see what happens. It's going to be fun. Going down there with a few people. I know there's going to be some Kansas City folks in the area that'll be out there doing that race. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I know some people wanted this to be, let's just say, an ultra, haha, pun intended, physical challenge. They wanted it to be hot. They wanted it to feel like July. They wanted it to just be gross so that when you're done, you really feel like you've accomplished something, even if you're not doing the ultra distance. Doesn't look like we're going to have that. Right now, forecasted partly cloudy with a high of 83. We're going to start in the low 60s when the race begins. That's not bad. And really for July, I'll take that. I will take that any day of the week. Because see, I am not one of the sadists who wanted the hot temperatures. I won't call out who Cody, who really wanted it to be hot and uncomfortable. It's just because he loves running half naked. But yeah, it doesn't look like you're gonna get it there, bud. So it's gonna be just, I guess it won't be hell on gravel. I said it's gonna be maybe more purgatory on gravel, just kind of, halfway between uncomfortable and fine. That's my guess. But that's what we've got coming up this weekend. So again, no medal today. We didn't do a medal Monday. What I did instead was something I've always wanted to do, and I'm glad it actually kind of worked out well for me. I've wanted to do this for 2.5 years. I just really been afraid to do it because I didn't think anyone would respond to it. And then I would sit there looking stupid, be like, nobody wanted to play along. I am so very sad. But thankfully, people did. So from when I first started podcasting, again, I've had two other podcasts before this that, ended for various reasons. I've always wanted more of like a call-in episode where people just, or a call-in show where people call in with questions like, hey, what do you think about this? Or have you ever done this? And, we just we can bounce and we can talk instead of me always having like prepared statements and whatnot, which I have to do a lot of times because it's just a one-man show. Might be a one-man shit show, but it's a one-man show. This week, because we didn't have a race and I didn't have a race to review and we didn't really have anything huge, super huge and big to talk about, I wanted to open it up to everyone. And so I put it on the Book of Faces. I said, "Hey, what do y'all want to talk about this week?" And thankfully people responded, and that's super great because it makes my life a lot easier when people tell me what they want to talk about. As you can see, I'm even dancing on the screen because I'm so excited. So we got some good results, or good responses, I should say. And let's just read the first one. And this is the one I wanted to go over. And I love this. I love this subject. So, Colleen, shout out to you. She responded with imposter syndrome. I have a huge case of it. I have a hard time getting fitted for shoes because I don't look like a runner. I'm sure they're thinking, why the hell is she getting running shoes? And let's not even mention grabbing my packet next to all the gazelles. I'm sure people assume I'm going to do the 5K when in fact, they're for the half. Okay, so imposter syndrome. And we'll start this all by saying everything I'm going to say right here. This is my opinion. All right, I didn't look up articles. I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else. I am speaking on behalf of myself, a guy who's been running for 14 years, who has fought weight issues probably every moment of those 14 years, even today. I'm certainly not where I want to be in life, better than where I was previously, but I'll probably never be where I want to be. I'll never be at a weight where I feel like I'm a runner, or I have a runner's body, or a runner's build, or whatever you want to call it. I don't think I'm ever going to be there, and I'm not, and I'm okay with that. But by way of this topic of this imposter syndrome, and I've been trying to think of the right way to phrase it. My problem with addressing it is I know that I still suffer from it. I still, me personally, still suffer from imposter syndrome. I go to races and I'm wearing back of the back podcast gear. Okay. I'm wearing the hat. I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing the whatever because I love where I've come from and I love this brand. I also know that when people read this or when people see this, it comes with certain thoughts and it comes with certain feelings and emotions that, other people might feel about it. There are those who think that we have no place, who think that we are ridiculous for being here. We shouldn't be out wasting our time. We shouldn't be at these races because we're not elite level. We're not going to be on the podium. We're not in contention to challenge the leaders. Why are we even here? And I get that. And I get those looks. Trust me, I get those looks. I get the snickers. I get the comments and the little, whispers from behind about that kind of stuff. And those really come along at the bigger races. So at the bigger races, at the New York, at the Boston, and at the Chicago, I really felt that imposter syndrome. So let's go to 2018. Okay. 2018 was my time doing Chicago, the Chicago Marathon. Long before this podcast ever started, I probably did Chicago at a weight of 280 to 285 pounds. I was not in good shape. I was panicked about the time limits that they have and the strict enforcement of their cutoffs. Every minute I was in Chicago, whether I was walking around downtown, whether I was at the expo, or whether I was at the race, I felt like a complete imposter. Like I did not belong there because this was my first of the World Marathon Majors. I had never done a race this big before. In 2015, I did the Marine Corps Marathon. Very big race, but I think in 2015, I was still dumb enough. I didn't really know what was what when it came to these big marathons. I was there with friends and I was there with, people I could just kind of lose myself with. And again, I was there with a military based kind of theme and organization and friend group, not running based. I wasn't there with running friends. I was there with military friends. And even though one of them was also doing the same race, because Marine Corps Marathon, he being a Marine, that was his bucket list race, his only full marathon ever. Shout out Daniel, much love. But that was the one he wanted. So like we were there really for him, for that result, and because I wanted to do it myself. I desperately wanted to have the Marine Corps Marathon on my resume. But again, I wasn't fully into the runner's world at that point. Okay. I was doing runs, I was doing races, but it was where I would go to the race, I would show up, I'd run, I'd leave, I'd go home, and I'm done. Not like I am right now. So then fast forward to 2018, I'm at Chicago. And again, at the expo, felt like a complete imposter. And I know at the time this was term of endearment. The person who said this, I know, was trying to say it, I'm not going to say lovingly, but friendly, because this guy and I had I don't know, it was kind of a weird history. Now there's no association whatsoever. That was I wouldn't even say a friendship, but an acquaintanceship lost years ago. So now at this point, I'm a little jaded. It's like, yeah, he probably said that to me to be an asshole. But when I was going to Chicago, that is where he nicknamed me Tractor. Okay, because I went far, I didn't go fast. I always felt like that was more of a backhanded compliment. And again, something that would mess with your imposter syndrome feelings if you already had them, which I most certainly did. So every time he would post something or say something, he always called me Tractor. Well, I tried to lean into that. I tried to lean into that persona. So when I went to Chicago, I bought a John Deere hat. And in Chicago, I wore this John Deere hat all over town. And any picture you see of me, not at the race, I'm wearing a green and yellow John Deere hat because I was trying to lean in to this, I don't know, this nickname of the Tractor. But again, it never sat right. It never made me feel like honestly, if you are an elite level runner, if you're doing fast 5Ks, 10s, halves, fulls, you don't want to be called a tractor. You want to be called a gazelle. You want to be called a speedster, a racer. You want to be associated with something fast, not something that while it might go far, it also goes slow. So that did not do anything to help me. So there's something I would throw out there, whether it be you, your friends, your running partners, careful of kind of how you talk to each other. Careful of maybe potential nicknames or pet names that might be said with love and endearment, but could be taken also as maybe a little bit of a backhanded compliment. So again, I don't know how many answers I'm going to have in this. I'm just going to kind of relay my experiences and see what you guys think. But there's definitely one. In 2018, I was nicknamed the Tractor. Did not help at all with this imposter syndrome that I had, especially being at the biggest race of my life at that point, at my first world marathon major. So that was Chicago in 2018. I was the Tractor. Let's fast forward to New York. New York Marathon in 2021. Okay, now I'm going to sidebar right quick because I'm super excited about this. And I would have shared this with everyone, but there was no time. Like there was no time to put this in an episode. I am going back to New York City in 2025. It's done. It's already a done deal. I'm in. They offered a virtual challenge where if you signed up, paid for, and do their virtual race between the end of October and the first weekend in November, you are guaranteed a spot in the New York Marathon in 2025. I entered myself in the lottery for the virtual. The virtual contacted me. They said, you are in. So I have registered and paid. Now all I have to do, complete the virtual between, I think, October 26th and November 3rd, right in that window. And then I have a guaranteed spot in 2025 in New York City. So super excited. The podcast, we are going back to New York City in 2025. If things work out and you have a chance to be there as well, let's connect. But anyway, I digress. Okay, we're going to rewind now to 2021, New York City, New York Marathon. I got in. I didn't get in through the lottery. I got in through other means, which I could tell a story. It's weird, and I still don't know how I did it. I lucked out. I lucked out. There it is. Lucky bastard that I was in 2021. So New York Marathon. I was not in good shape. I was not marathon ready. I was not taking my running as seriously as I should have. I was in weird places, mentally, emotionally, life-wise. I was in really, really weird places. So when I go to New York, and again, I lucked into it. I honestly got into it and thought I would defer, but because of the way I got in, deferring wasn't a possibility. So I was left with a very short training window that I didn't take seriously. So I go to New York for the New York Marathon, my second world major. So I felt good about that. I was plus 300 pounds when I went to New York. Yep. Yeah. I knew I was doomed. Like I was hurt. I had a hurt foot. That hurt foot was just stemming from being physically active while weighing 300 plus pounds. No question. That is why my foot was hurt. I didn't do anything to it. It's just my body at that age. Let's see, in 2021, I was 41. My body was saying, dude, you can't keep doing all this activity while weighing this damn much. But I did it anyway, and I went to New York City. I loved the New York City experience. I had a great time. Here's the problem. New York City is an older city, of course, in the country. We all know that. It is not made for 300 plus pound people. It's not. Everything is cramped. Everything is tight. Everything is small. And if you're walking around at a plus size, like you can be really uncomfortable. And I was just uncomfortable that whole race. And I go to the expo. And the moment I walk in the expo, imposter syndrome. What am I doing here? I don't belong here. I'm going to be terrible. You know, there are gold medalists of the marathon distance who are running this very same race. I'm a complete poser. I'm an imposter. I should not be here. This is ridiculous. I had all of that. I had all of that in 2021 at the New York Marathon because I was in terrible shape. I was overweight and just, I knew I was going to suck. I went into the race mentally defeated. All right. And how many times have we said you can't do that? Also in 2021, coronavirus was this big, huge, just thing that hovered out there in the world. So I remember walking to the start line outside wearing a 4XL New York Rangers shirt, wearing a mask, feeling like my face was just puffing out of this mask. This is ridiculous. I'm not here. Why am I here? I shouldn't be here. We start the race. The first real mile of the race is up a bridge, which is all uphill, and I'm already walking. I'm already freaking walking. So again, I was a complete poser the entire time, complete imposter. I loved the experience, but I hated myself during it. And so I felt like I shouldn't be there. All right. So after 2021, I came home. You know, that was in November. We went through the holiday season. I had ballooned up to about 320 pounds. At the start of 2022 is when I decided, dude, like I had reached this point where I could just feel it. It's like if I don't change, if I don't do something, I am not going to be around much longer. Like I could just feel it. I could feel my health was so bad that I might have been close to the finish line, premature finish line, but close to the finish line if I didn't change. So starting in 2022, made a change. All right. Diet, exercise, actually pulled my head out of my rump, took things seriously. I'm down almost 100 pounds. And again, that's neither here nor there. I'm not trying to toot horns. I'm giving you a little bit of the history here. So then we start the podcast in 2022, in March of 2022. Okay. We started the podcast so that I could be accountable because I can't stand here and talk to you guys about running if I'm not doing it. If I'm not at the races, if I'm not doing the training runs, if I'm not doing the things, if I go out there weighing 320 pounds and say, let's all run, let me talk to you about running and how great it is, you aren't going to believe me. Be like, listen here, dude. Then what would you know about running? You run your ass to the buffet or to the front door when the pizza guy arrives. And I still do that. I love the pizza man. Much love. But it was a way to keep me accountable and to share my love of running, which I did love, even though my body didn't really reflect it at that time. So we start the podcast in 2022. I start ramping up. I'm running more races. I'm out there weekends. You know, every weekend I'm seeing you. I'm meeting you people. I have met more people in 2022 in the running world than I did in the previous 12 years before that. Like all my running family and all the people that I consider run fam right now, I've met you all after we started this podcast, right? Like very few of you, I even knew of you and you knew of me before then. I think it used to be I just ran around Kansas City and I was the flag guy because I wore red, white, and blue stuff all the time. Now I'm the Back of the Pack podcast guy, but even still, that can sometimes make you feel a little bit like an imposter. Again, I'm wearing it on my chest that I am not a fast runner, but yet I'm at these races. So in 2023, we go to Boston. Yeah, I'm just using the world majors as kind of big examples. Boston's another one that will absolutely mess with your head and will give you that imposter syndrome because how hard is it to get into Boston? Damn near impossible. For someone like me, it is impossible. There is no way I was ever going to qualify time-wise for the Boston Marathon. I am not that fast. I'm not that dedicated. My health isn't that good. I feel like you have to be an elite level athlete to qualify for Boston. So, sidebar, if you are a person who is qualified for Boston time-wise, you are awesome. Like, please understand how much respect and love we have for the people that can do that. 100%. Like, no shade, no, oh, you guys are elitist or holier than thou or whatever. No, man, that's awesome and great job out of you. All you full-blown Boston qualifiers. I mean, big thumbs up because I am seriously impressed with that. That is a physical feat I will never do. And so I am impressed by those who can. You know, it's like professional athletes. I can't do what you do. So I will respect and be impressed by what you can do that I cannot. It doesn't mean I care about a lot of your political beliefs and all this other stuff that you spew around, but I am just in awe of your abilities. So we go to Boston. I've talked about this before, and I'll mention it again. If you ever want to feel like an imposter, go to Boston without a time qualification. Go to Boston on a charity bib. And then when people ask you, how, oh, you qualified? And again, you get that tone. You qualified? Accusatory, like you're full of shit. You qualified? No, no, I did not. I raised funds. I got a charity bib. I raised a crap ton of money and I gave it to a charity in an area that I don't even live in. But I did it. Actually, I didn't do shit. Earmuffs, kids. You did. Those of you who donated to my cause to run the Boston Marathon and to get that off the very top spot on my bucket list, you all did it. I didn't do anything except beg and plead and bite my tongue as I did this sentence. You guys did it. But when you're in Boston and when people are talking to you and you're just shooting the breeze with other runners and the whole subject of the charity bib comes up, again, you feel like an imposter because you're not a time qualifier. And so you feel like you're lesser than because you didn't do it the way they did. And so those are kind of the big three experiences I have of the imposter syndrome. And again, I get them every race, damn near every race. Not all. Yeah, they're a fun little. I'm not going to have it on the 4th of July. It's a fun little 5K. If it's a big family friendly race and maybe these people come out for a race once a year, yeah, you're not going to feel like that. But there's certainly going to be races that you are. When you're at a half marathon, when you're at a full marathon, when you're at a world marathon major, you're going to look around and you're going to see the people that are really fast. And you're going to see the full marathoners lining up at the 3:10 pace group. And you're going to be like, wow, all right, time to start my half-mile walk to the back. And yeah, it's be very easy for you to think you're an imposter and you don't belong there. And yes, we can jump into all the expressions that a 14-minute mile is just as far as a 6-minute mile. And while all these are true, there's nothing that you can just firmly put in your head that will get you to stop this. You can't stop this imposter feeling. All we can do is, I guess all we can really do is call bullshit on ourselves. We are not imposters. We may not be what they are. And there are people who aren't what we are. There are those people at a full marathon who you have that person that finishes last. And if you finish a half hour before last, there are those people who wish they were you finishing that 30 minutes before last place. We all look around and we all judge ourselves and we all judge our own abilities, and then we deem ourselves worthy or unworthy based on what we see around us, when really what you need to focus on is what you see within yourself. I see that I am a marathon runner. I see that I'm a half marathon runner. I see that I'm a 10K runner, and I see that I'm a 5K runner. I see that I'm a runner who's going to go do a gravel race this weekend. I see that I am a runner who is going to go do the Berlin Marathon in September. And don't for a moment think I'm not going to be in Berlin and feel like a complete friggin' poser. Oh, 100% I am. Because I'm going to be over there wearing all this stuff. I'm going to be over there wearing the Back of the Pack podcast stuff, hoping like hell people see it and that they will like the podcast on Facebook and that they'll listen and that the numbers will go up. Trust me, I'm going to be in all this stuff and I'm still going to feel like a poser. This is the same course that Ulib Kipchoge set a world record on. All right, this is the course that where records fall. This is another marathon major. This is my first marathon out of this country. I'm going to be surrounded by runners from around the world who have come to Berlin for this race. And then there's me, the guy who's just going to hope and pray that he's under the 6-hour time limit. The guy that's going to hope and pray I can set a new PR by running faster than 5 hours and 48 minutes, which is what I did in Boston. All right. I'm not them. I will never be them, but I'm not an imposter because I am there, because I am the best 5-hour and 48-minute Kansas City 2 open heart surgery podcast running host person that I can be. And that's all I need to be. So you, whether you don't have the right body type in your own mind, whether you don't have the right shoes in your own mind or the right foot structure or the right feet, you don't have to worry about anyone else being that. You have to be that. You have to be the best version of that you can be. And if there's something you don't like about that, like me in 2021, when I decided I had to lose weight or die, then you worry about you and you worry about how you want to make that change and how you feel you can go forward healthier, happier, and maybe a little more athletically fit. Trust me, my time started to go down when I lost almost 100 pounds. My body had no choice but to run faster. Do I want to continue to be faster? Yes, I do. Do I want my 5K times to be consistently under 30 minutes? Yes, I do. It's almost been a year since I got under 30, though. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I had one aberration in March. It's since March. I've not gotten under 30 in a 5K because I've been training for distance runs and I've been maybe not eating perfectly. We've been over that one before. So don't, to the best of your abilities, judge everyone else. Don't look at them as competition. Don't look at them as an example of what a runner should or should not be. They are simply other runners crossing the same start line, aiming for the same finish line that you are. You just worry about what you do in between the start and the finish, and what you do to prepare yourself to get to the start line, and what you do after the finish line to, I don't know, to whatever you want to do after the finish line. Is this training for another race? Is this the end of your goal race? Whatever you want to do, you worry about you and you worry about your journey. And you just know that because you cross the start line and because you cross the finish line, you are not an imposter. You're not a poser. You're not a fake runner. We've had that one before. Hashtag fake runner. You're not a fake runner. If you start and you finish and you are in the middle and you put in the miles, there is nothing fake or imposter about what you're doing. It is legit running. It is legit run walking. It is legit walking. It is legit doing the distance because you, in whatever your life has led you to, feels this call to cross that start line, cross that finish line. You celebrate your victories. You did not fake anything. You can't fake these distances. You can feel one way or another about them, but you can't fake it. You're not an imposter. You have accomplished something. And it doesn't matter what race it is. If it's your first 5K and you think that 3.1 miles is the most daunting distance you have ever heard of in your life, when you cross that finish line, you are a finisher. You are not a fake. No one can take those 3.1 miles away from you. You have accomplished something. It was your goal and you accomplished it. And you might decide, I'm never doing another one again. Or you might decide 6.2 looks interesting. A 10K could be really cool. And then when you do it, you did it. You didn't fake it. You did it. And you decide where you go from there. You can go to the half, go to the full, go to the ultra. Eventually, you're going to find a place where you're like, nope, I'm good. 26.2 is my max. I'm not going over that. I'm good with that. But yeah, so fake runner, imposter, no. That I think we get that when we start looking outward, we start looking at others instead of looking inward at ourselves. I don't give a shit what you look like, what clothing you wear, what you feel like in line or getting shoes or any example you might think of. We can deal with all these things. I don't care if you walk around one of the biggest cities in the world wearing a freaking John Deere hat. When you cross the start line and you cross the finish line, there's nothing fake about what you've done. And if anyone's judging you, judging your time, judging your look, judging your shoes, judging your outfit, judging your personal appearance, your body type, whatever, who cares, man? They're on their journey. You are on yours. And that's what you focus on. You complete your journey. You do what you need to do to feel like you have accomplished your goals, whatever those might be. Fair? Should I get off the soapbox? All right. Well, we had one more come in, and I definitely wanted to discuss it as well. Now I got rambling too long. My screen locked. So give me un momento, por favor, because I thought it was another good one, and it's very much along the same lines. Let me read it here. Where are you, Mo? There you are, Mo. All right, Mo. When faster people call a slower person's pace the quote unquote party pace, even though the slower person is using their full race effort, it's not their party pace, it's the faster person's party pace. It's always said as a compliment, but always feels like an insult. I'm not partying back here, I'm working hard. And I love this post. I love it. I really do. So we're going to go back to Chicago 2018. And again, I wasn't big into the running community. I was just a guy who showed up and ran races and left. I found a Facebook group, and it was 2018 Chicago Marathon runners, whatever, and it was organized by a running coach, and her name is Denise. I'm gonna mess up her last name, Suriol. I think it's Suriol. Denise Suriol. She has written a book. She started that group, and if memory serves, now I could be a little wrong, but if she might be the first person I heard use the expression back of the pack. All right, I know it's a long time running term. It's not like she created it. It's the first time I remember it being used prevalently. And so she was always, hey, corral, I think it was G, is the back of the pack. It's the party in the back. It's this, that, and the other. And now, and that idea really called to me because, of course, I knew I was going to be a slower runner. I knew I was going to be a slower runner that when I got to my corral, I wanted to be at the very start of the corral to give me every possible moment from when the last person in the race started. And I felt like the sweep truck was going to be coming. A lot of us, I can't say all, a lot of us have been in that same boat where we have to sit there and think, okay, how far in front can I be to give me the most distance from the sweep so they can't take me off the course? But Denise was the first person I heard use, party in the back, back of the pack, party in the back. Races are like a mullet, business in the front, party in the back. I get all that. Well, when I got there, again, going just by what I'd seen on the post and this, that, and the other, yeah, I was expecting a big party in the back. There was no party in the back. There are certainly runners who have fun. There are runners who make an event of it. I know in Disney, it's a big thing. You got the balloon ladies, and it's a good time. Some people walk with speakers, and yeah, they're doing their best. And if that's what you want to do, then I think you should go and have a great time doing it. Do it, have fun, make it your thing. But yes, for someone like Mo, for someone like me, even though I know I'm closer to the back just because of my ability, no, I'm not partying. I'm not sitting there taking all the selfies and all the pictures and doing all the this, that, and the other. Now, there's certainly times I do. There are certainly times I will stop and take a shot with the guys who are along the course cheering people on. There are times where I'll see something cool, maybe I want to take a picture, or I'll stop and slow down at it. But I know that I'm working, and I'm working hard because I know that there could potentially be a sweep or a time limit behind me that could actually prohibit me from reaching the finish line. In Chicago, again, not in good shape, didn't run a particularly good race, even though Chicago is very flat. I am still an official finisher. However, the reason I want to do Chicago again, I didn't actually cross their finish line because I was so in the back. And trust me, I wasn't partying. They were already starting to tear down the official finish line, so they had moved one of the timing mats to the sidewalk next to it. That's what I crossed. I didn't cross the Chicago Marathon big structure thing because my time was over 7 hours. For the Chicago Marathon, 6 hours is their time limit. I was over 7. That's how bad I was in 2018. So there was no party in the back. Now, when people say it, like even this podcast, Back of the Pack podcast, I don't say this, of course, to be insulting to anyone. And I don't think anyone has taken it that way. I take it because I am a runner who wants to talk about running, and the only perspective I can offer you is from that of a person at the back of the pack. But it's not party wise. It's because that's my skill level. I'm not an elite level runner. I'm not a front of the pack runner. And I know some people give me shit. Maybe now you're middle of the pack. I still don't even think so. Most of my perspective comes from a back of the pack runner. There are definitely going to be people out there who maybe they don't know. If you're running even a 5-hour marathon, you're comfortable. Like you're comfortably in front of anything that could take you off of the course. If you're running a 2:45 half marathon, you're comfortable. Hell, even if you're a 3-hour marathon, most of the time you're comfortable. Like there's nothing that's going to come and sweep you off that course. But for all of us, we got to try and take it. Yes, when people say that, oh, it's a party in the back. Haha, yeah, sure. It's because they don't know. It's because they haven't been in our shoes. They haven't run the race where the sweeper truck is right on your heels and you are just petrified. They're going to say, all right, you're done, get on board. And they're going to pull you off. I think the people who say it are the people who don't know. Denise in Chicago, and again, if she ever wants to come on the show, she's got an open invite. She is actually a very fast, skilled runner. She has the luxury of starting in the back of the pack and starting with a lot of the people that maybe she's met along the way or met through Facebook or run groups or whatever. She can start at the back, say hi to everyone as she weaves up and still runs a 4.5 hour full marathon. She's an elite level runner. So she has the luxury of being able to start back and still achieve whatever she hopes to achieve that race. And so she has some experience because she hangs out there, but I know that's not where her skill set is. For those of us with the skill set of back of the pack, yes, I think people mean it more as a term of endearment. They mean it as, just a way to still maybe even be encouraging. With that, they don't want to say, oh, wow, you guys are in the back of the pack. You must be slow AF. No, they're not saying that. They're saying, oh, it's a party. Maybe you're taking it easy so that you can stay in the back and party. hey, let them believe what they want to believe. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. We know what we're trying to do. Sometimes we're trying to survive. Sometimes we're trying to enjoy the experience. Either which way, all the times we're trying not to get swept off the course. That's where I think we are with that. So I am so thankful for the folks that offered up some stuff to talk about today. You guys made my job real easy. And hopefully this maybe speaks to you. It speaks to someone listening. I hope you guys will, I don't know. Maybe it makes sense. Maybe it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, leave a comment. Let me know where I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, once or twice. And so I'm happy to continue the conversation, but I'm glad that we got to have it. I had never really given serious thought to this whole imposter syndrome thing, but it's 100% true. And again, I could give you a plethora, a plethora of other examples where I have felt this way. And again, I only touched on the World Marathon Majors, and I can guarantee you I'm going to feel it again in September in Berlin. But again, your journey, your start line, your finish line, your journey. Damn what anyone else may think about it. This is you. You are not an imposter when you do what we do. And we do this willingly. We just don't do it right now. Good Lord, it is pouring outside. We're just not going to do it right now in the rain. We got to be safe about this. So anyway, hey, I'd love your feedback. Give me your feedback. Fire it at me. I don't care. Whatever you're listening on, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're getting your podcast, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about this. Right, wrong, agree, disagree. Think about this. You're an idiot for this. Whatever your case is, leave me a message. I love it. I love it. So, all right, here we go. Stars and Stripes on Thursday. Hell on Gravel coming up on Saturday. Then I am out of town for a week. So Monday, what's today? The first and 17th. So mid-July, we're going to actually have our first substitute episode. You won't have to listen to me. Karen is going to come in and give us an episode. So that's coming up. It'll be 2 weeks from today. How about that? 2 weeks from when you're listening to this on Monday, July 1st, you will have a different host for an episode. And Karen is awesome. So be super excited and really look forward to her because she is super good. So, all right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. It is my pleasure, as always. You guys are all frigging awesome. I love what you do. And I love that you're out there doing it. And I love that I get to be some small part of it. So go forth, be awesome. Have a great week of training. We will see you next week.